Hi everyone, Canoopsy here, and behind me is the brand new 2021 M1 iMac in yellow, and we've been waiting a very long time for a substantial iMac upgrade, and I think Apple finally delivered. And this is my review. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, the platform to learn all the creative skills you've always been interested in learning. The first 1,000 people who join with my link in the description get a free trial of Skillshare Premium, so you can explore your creativity today. Okay, so the model I have is the fully spec'd everything except for the storage. So I have the 8-core M1 processor, 8-core GPU, 16GB of RAM, and 512GB of storage. But before we talk about performance, let's talk about design. The biggest change to the iMac in the last 10 years. This thing is ultra thin, thinner than an Apple Watch or about 1.5 iPhone 12 Pro Maxes. Basically, it's very thin. Of course, I got the yellow one, and it's kind of a bit of a gold in some lights, especially the stand, but it's honestly beautiful. All the colors look pretty sweet in my opinion. There's no space gray or matte black, but silver's even quite nice. It looks very industrial, just awesome. Now, the white bezels and the chin. Honestly, in person using this computer, they don't bother me at all. Definitely in the renders and the press images, they're a lot more exaggerated and jarring for some reason. But in person, it's gorgeous. The whole design makes the computer feel like a piece of furniture or home accessory, and it feels warm and inviting rather than cold and blank. And it's clear that that was intentional. The computer even says hello when you first turn it on. And because of how it looks, it allows this computer to almost transcend beyond the office or the desk space. It looks great in a kitchen, a living room, a dining room, coffee table. Why not? And because it's so thin and light and everything is built in, you can kind of move this around your home space like an iPad or a MacBook. Now, you gotta plug it in of course, but this computer fits into home environments so incredibly well. It doesn't really stick out like a piece of tech and just feels like it belongs in living spaces. Now, the design is obviously not for everyone, but it's awesome to see Apple embracing color once again and going heavy on it. Even accents of the operating system also match the color of the Mac you have, alongside pretty much everything in the box. And the box. The stand is tilt adjustable, but not height adjustable or rotatable. There's a headphone jack on the side, which is nice to have and easy to access, but makes plugging in speakers look a little bit awkward. At the back, 2 USB-C ports and 2 Thunderbolt or USB 4 ports on this model. There's of course no other ports on the rest of the computer, so you're gonna need one of those adapters for things like an SD card slot, HDMI port, stuff like that. Interesting enough though, the Ethernet port is actually on the power brick, which is actually kinda smart for homes and setups and may help with organization and cable management. The braided, color-coordinated power cable also attaches magnetically to the Mac, and I hope we see something like this for the next MacBook Pro, but of course designed to actually pop out, because this, it stays locked in. The display up front is 24 inches and 4.5K resolution. It's glossy, and the glass covers the entire front of the computer. As it is glossy, you're going to see some reflections in brighter rooms, but viewing angles are pretty solid. At first, I was kind of worried the 24-inch display would feel a bit too small, especially coming from a much larger display that I use on a daily basis, but it's really not bad at all. Creative work, day-to-day work, just using this computer, the 24-inch display is kind of a nice, medium, middle ground size. The panel gets very bright, colors are beautiful, vibrant, and accurate, and it's crazy sharp. Even if you don't like how the front of the computer looks, having this level of display is almost worth forgetting about the chin and bezels. It's truly a beautiful panel. The speakers get quite loud with decent mids and balanced highs. The bass is even decent too. They sound good. Now, they're not going to replace an external speaker setup with a subwoofer or anything like that, of course, but if you don't have the space for external speakers or just don't want to have them, this has everything built in. And speaking of audio quality, you're hearing the microphones from this computer right now in stereo, and they do sound pretty good, honestly. You're also seeing the video quality from the front-facing 1080p webcam on this computer, which is great for video conferencing, videos just like this, or of course photo booth. The keyboard and mouse are also included here, and the keyboard is updated and looks great. It's very compact, the corners are rounded, it's also yellow of course too, and this thing is super lightweight and doesn't slide around on a table at all. The travel is good, but will be a lot more shallow than what you're used to if you don't use an Apple keyboard on a daily basis. The fingerprint scanner is also a great touch and works fairly fast for logging in or making purchases. The Magic Mouse is the same as before, just color coordinated, same gestures, same click, same everything, and yes, the charger port is still on the bottom. Okay, let's talk performance. You know how fast and instant things are on iOS? Imagine that, but on the Mac. That's exactly how it is. And going from an Intel machine to this, it is immediately noticeable. Turning on the computer, it starts up incredibly fast, and day-to-day performance, opening apps, scrolling around, just using the computer, it's very snappy and smooth. Most apps just pop open instantly, especially ones that are optimized for Apple Silicon, and the casual apps that aren't yet optimized, you wouldn't really know. Of course, some things are not that smooth if they're not optimized, like Premiere Pro and InDesign, they're just okay. So that's daily usage, and for most people, they're gonna love the speed of this machine for all the things they do on a daily basis. And while this isn't really aimed at people who do more complex, intensive work with their computers, I wanted to still really push the M1 processor to its limits. Most of the more intensive apps I use are from Apple and Adobe, and I have a lot of work happening all at once, so thankfully this computer came in at the right time, and I was able to really test out how this performs for those projects. Final Cut is the reason why I still use a Mac, because it's not on an iPad yet. And honestly, the editing experience on this machine is surprisingly good. No real slowness or lag, processing and playback always very quick, and the thing is dead silent most of the time. When the fans do kick on, they're decently quiet as well. I've been working on a few long and intensive edits, and I've really been pushing this computer, testing out the performance. And if you're seeing this video, it was edited entirely on this Mac. Then with Photoshop, working on some mock-ups for my website, even editing the thumbnail for this video, it was pretty smooth. I even opened up some more complex projects, reworked some of the graphics, tested a few things out, and didn't really have to wait or deal with much of any slowness while using Photoshop on this computer. Now, one of the coolest things about Apple Silicon is the ability to run iPhone and iPad apps natively on the computer, and it's pretty incredible. So you just go to the App Store and you can download Mac or iOS apps, and if you've already bought them, those purchases transfer to the Mac. Although some apps are just not available on the store, like Instagram or YouTube or Snapchat, Gmail, so it's still a bit mixed what you can actually download. But most things, they're there. What all of this means, iOS apps on the Mac, in concept, what it does is expands the Mac App Store, gives more variety. And of course, desktop-specific apps will be better on this computer, but the iOS apps that do run on this computer are very smooth. Okay, so the iMac is finally exciting again. You have a computer with a super friendly design that fits beautifully into many home environments. It's ultra thin and modern, that runs incredibly fast for day-to-day tasks and the more intensive ones if you choose to do so, and doesn't cost a stupid amount of money for what you're getting. The overall package here is actually kind of reasonable. Now, the design isn't for everyone, of course, and maybe you want a bigger screen for your day-to-day tasks, and maybe a laptop still makes more sense for your workflow. But if you're spending a lot of time at home and you need a solid computer for your daily work, it's hard to find one that offers this much value, power, and looks this good all at once. What I'm really excited about though, especially with this computer being this good, is the future of Apple Silicon and the Mac. I'm hyped for the new MacBook Pro, the new MacBook Air, the new iMac Pro, Mac Mini. I'm just excited. Only time will tell what the future holds for the Mac, but what I can tell you for sure though, is the Mac is back. Today's video was sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with classes about all the creative skills you may have been interested in learning. Maybe you want to learn about photography, web design, marketing, video editing, illustration, animation, and so much more. It's all on Skillshare and taught by creative professionals with engaging, entertaining classes and real projects you can actually practice the skills that you've learned. And there are plenty of incredible classes like this one from filmmaker Olaf de Fleur, where he details the full process of creating a short indie film. From developing your idea to shooting, directing, editing, and more, it's one of the coolest classes I've learned from on Skillshare, and Olaf is an incredible teacher. The first 1,000 people who join Skillshare with my link in the description get a free trial of Skillshare Premium, so you can explore your creativity today. And after your trial, it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So what do you think of the new 2021 M1 iMac? Do you like the design? Do you hate the design? Did you buy one? What do you think of this computer overall? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe, and thank you for watching.